Hello YouTube, this is Morgan Airspeed Prime here with my next Avatar news update video. So quite a few things to talk about here. Obviously last night I covered the big news that we got the concept art for the AAA Avatar game, and I purposely focused that video on that because it was kind of big news. This is sort of a lot of the other stuff, but there is still some interesting stuff here. So we'll start with this. So this is the Game Found page for the upcoming Avatar Journey of Aang board game. And they've finally announced officially when the crowdfunding campaign is going to launch. So it's going to launch October 22nd. So we're about like 2 weeks basically away from this. You'll know I did a video a few weeks ago going over this game in detail. They sent me a kind of early review copy to give feedback on, and also just to, highlight, hey, this is how you play it. So if you want more information on it, I would definitely recommend a link below that video if you want more information on this upcoming Avatar board game. Now, there's not too much of a teaser behind this about like, okay, what the campaign is really going to be in terms of like, it's not Kickstarter, but it's still a crowdfunding campaign. So like we would still be maybe expecting stretch goals and stuff like this, because visually what they show here is effectively just what I got in my kind of early kind of review copy. But I get the impression based on some of what they've been saying in the comments, there probably is more stuff that is being added to the game. And I'm very interested to see if they have taken any feedback on board and are going to like mention what the game will sort of change to be, and especially stuff when it comes to like pricing and stuff like that. For me, I'm interested in this just because I liked what I saw from the review copy. I didn't get like all of the cards, for instance, like the character cards, I didn't get all of them. The technique cards here, I didn't get all of them. So if they have a lot more, obviously to get the full game, I kind of need those cards. But if they haven't super substantially changed like other stuff, maybe it's a little bit like, do I need to kind of get the rest of the stuff? But if they at all, deliver on a good campaign that offers something kind of unique and like they have some fun extras that you get by crowdfunding, I'll definitely go in because I like the way that this game plays. I was pretty positive on it in my video. So definitely something to keep an eye out for. And just in general, even if you maybe are not interested in board games, I think there should be an interest from fans in seeing how an Avatar crowdfunding project goes for an official like piece of merchandise. Obviously, the Avatar Legends RPG did exceptionally well. I'm interested to see how this, a little bit more of a niche thing, it won't be as popular as that, but I'm excited to see how well they actually do. Final thing I'll just say here about this is obviously ahead of the campaign, remember, if you create an account on GameFound and follow the campaign, you will get the free gift. Now, you only get the free gift if you follow it before the campaign. So this is something that you have to do ahead of time to get the metal kind of coin trainer token, which looks really, really nice. So if you are in any way considering it, I would recommend just putting the follow in so you are locked in to get this if you do decide to pledge. But yeah, that's Journey of Aang. We'll follow that in the next couple of weeks. Next, a bit of a new piece of information here. Let me scroll back to the top here. So this is Rock Love. They have announced this new collection of Avatar jewelry, basically. I'm not going to go through this in great detail. I'm not super into jewelry. Some people will be more on that side of things. It looks like it's relatively interesting stuff in that it's a lot of the classic icons, effectively, of Avatar in jewelry. I don't even know if this is reasonably priced or not, because obviously they're trying to go for, I suppose, high quality jewelry, not just kind of maybe cheap jewelry. And it looks like they've put effort into really make this into something that, isn't maybe super like tacky, and it actually has some value. People might actually wear this other than it just being a bunch of Avatar stuff in kind of jewelry form. So just kind of going through it, you have some classic stuff like the Betrothal necklace, of course, different various rings, like the arrow ring is kind of cool, the rings for the kind of 4 elements, which actually seem kind of nicely designed. Excited to see, I suppose, more what other people think about this who would be more interested in kind of going through this. They're doing some sort of a big announcement at New York Comic Con, of course, which is coming up basically next week. And there will be some exclusive stuff. Kyoshi Warrior earrings. I can see some people maybe being really into that. A Kyoshi Warrior ring. Just something that, like, hey, I'm not into this really, but I like to highlight kind of unique merch when it does come out. There's also this kind of Momo kind of thing here that they're also doing. So, I'll have the link below if you want to check this out, if you want to read it in kind of more detail. This is more to just highlight that, hey, this is a thing that exists. They do put the pricing with it, which I do like, but yeah, there's some Avatar jewelry. Again, you might have wanted to see some Korra in here. This is very ATLA focused. As you can see here, it is Avatar The Last Airbender, Cross Rock Love, rather than the Avatar franchise kind of overall. Some people might have liked to have maybe seen some Korra stuff in here, but there's still weirdness around a lot of that licensing stuff. Next, we have the announcement of a new book, but I will say straight away, I don't actually know for sure that this is a new book. What it is How to Draw Avatar The Last Airbender. They're saying it's by Random House, illustrated by Random House. It's going to be a paperback, $12.99, which seems relatively cheap for a How to Draw book. July 1st, 2025, and the description is exceptionally vague. Young artists 7 to 10, draw Avatar characters, the main Avatar characters. There's no mention of a creative team or anything like that, which makes me think that this might actually just be a reprint of the much older book, which is also a How to Draw Avatar The Last Airbender book. They have been doing stuff like this before recently, where they have been reprinting some of that older stuff, like the short story thing that had some of the recap stories, and that Love Potion non-canon comic. That was a weird reprint book. This one could be that again, because it would technically be from a similar publisher that Random House would now be doing, which I think would explain why they're listing maybe just the publisher rather than anyone individually. But we do have to wait and see what actually comes out of this overall. Because if it is the same book, then it's like, I think that book came out in like 2007, so it won't even have like end of series designs. It'll be all mostly like book 1, maybe a little bit of book 2 stuff on that side of things. So I'm probably going into this with pretty low expectations, assuming that it probably is just a reprint of that older book. But maybe it is something new. We have to wait and see, of course. Next, I mentioned this in a previous news video, but it was right at the end of a video that like 90% of it was talking about the AAA Avatar game being announced. But The Awakening of Roku, Chronicles of the Avatar Book 6, has been delayed. Now, this happened with The Reckoning of Roku, but then it got reversed, but it wasn't as extreme of a delay. Reckoning got delayed from an initial July date into August, but then it went back to July. Here we started out with July, we've gone to October here, and we don't know where it's going to go from here. Right now, basically everywhere is listing October 14th as the release date. We definitely, I think, will have to wait and see. I think the books, the novels, get a little bit of a benefit of the doubt because they have not been particularly bad about release dates. They've been actually very, very consistent. The comics, of course, we criticized the delays quite heavily because it just seems completely random. I'd be interested to see where this actually ends up, because it would break a sequence of 5 books where every book has come out in July. So then to miss it by a good few months is a little bit kind of frustrating, but not sure what to make of that. Still no description for this. Maybe at New York Comic Con we will get a proper description for this to go along with perhaps this new date that they have. Maybe we'll see the cover. Not really sure. In terms of a more recent release, the paperback version of The Shadow of Kyoshi, so this is Chronicles of the Avatar Book 2, the second Kyoshi novel. This is out next week, October 15th this year. we will see the release of this book. So this is coming out next Tuesday. Again, the paperback version of Rise of Kyoshi came out already. Exact same book. It is just the text of the book. They have a slightly altered cover with just the graphics being slightly adjusted to make it to emphasize the color of the book more so than sort of it being the black ink with red. In this case, it's like basically all red. So that's kind of cool. But yeah, next week we see this get released. And of course, we know that The Dawn of Yang Chen also has a paperback version coming. And I'm assuming we will see a listing for Legacy of Yang Chen before long as well. Final piece of news is just about the New York Comic Con panel, because we're getting pretty close at this point. It is going to be next week. We're just over a week away. It's going to be Friday, October 18th for the Avatar Legacy Publishing panel. It is later on in the day. This is one thing to note. Greg on the podcast actually basically alerted me to this, that like, oh yeah, like San Diego Comic-Con, they are doing these panels relatively late in the day, which usually means they're maybe not considered as important. It's not super late compared to like the SDCC one was very, very late. The description is the same, but you can see here some new people have been added to the panel. I think initially it was just Cara O'Neill and Randy Rabai, but then Ethan LeBlanc was added with James Mendez, Hodez, but now we have Joan Hilty and Rachel Silverstein added. So to go over this again, Cara O'Neill is going to be the moderator and Dark Horse representative. Ethan LeBlanc is the Webtoons representative. Again, the question with him is he going to say anything different than what Webtoons said at San Diego Comic-Con? Is he here to maybe announce an original Webtoons? Because otherwise, the news about that is just that they are, you know, how are they going to do their other Webtoons for the comics that already exist? That's not super interesting. James here is from the role-playing game, which could have some announcements because the Uncle Iroh book is basically released. It's on the verge of, you know, people getting shipping notifications, that sort of thing. The book is, you know, how much more can we talk about it? You have to say what's next. So that could be interesting. Joan Hilty is the editor, basically heavily related to publishing when it comes to like Avatar Studios. So she can talk about a lot of stuff. That maybe opens the door to like you have your main moderator and a person from Avatar Studios. Maybe this is going to be a little bit more of a substantial publishing panel, but who knows? That this is not a guarantee because it's still relatively early. Randy Rabai, of course, from Abrams, is here to, I guess, talk a bit about, you know, Reckoning of Roku is out. Maybe there's something about Awakening of Roku. It makes sense, you know, I guess they wanted someone from Abrams here, so they go with him. How much is he actually going to say about the new book? I have no idea. But the interesting addition to the panel is definitely Rachel Silverstein. Because, okay, yes, she technically has worked on Avatar before. She wrote the one of the short stories in Legend of Korra Patterns in Time, the short story collection. She wrote Skyscrapers, which is the young Asami and Yasuko short story. But that was quite a while ago at this point. You know, that's a few years ago where that book actually came out. So she's definitely not here to talk about that. But then also, even if she was, you wrote a 4-page comic. That's a weird like reasoning to be on the panel in 2024. So the heavy assumption would be that, well, I guess she's working on something new in relation to Avatar. And she's done work on, of course, the Korra side of things previously with Dark Horse. And that would be the obvious connection that I think we'd probably be trying to get here. So some initial speculation probably would be, are they maybe switching writers for the second Korra one-shot? We go from Kiku Hughes doing the Mako and Bolin comic to whatever the second comic is, which we're maybe expecting to be announced here. Maybe Rachel Silverstein is writing that. Is there going to be another short story collection, and maybe she's writing another story in that? Because again, that is something that they've maybe needed to announce to, you know, get some of those reprint books in. You know, that's an option. Or are we just doing something new? Is there going to be new books? Because again, they said publishing is going to be ramping up. We have to see signs that Avatar is building towards kind of late 2025, early 2026, when we're actually going to get proper information, and then build up to the release of the movie, of course. It seems like they have the big video games already kind of in place to a certain degree. They're happening. We just need to see the publishing kind of catch up with the bigger announcements as well. So that's the thing here. Either Rachel Silverstein is here because, hey, you worked on Korra previously, we have a spare slot on the panel, or she's here because she is involved in something new. Because you'll note here, they don't have anyone who's actually involved with the Mako and Bolin, one-shot comic, except Cara O'Neill, who is more the moderator slash, general Dark Horse person, not a direct creative team member. So that's kind of an interesting one, because that's the next upcoming book. But they've also done all of the preview material for that book, so there's nothing else to really talk about. There's still expectations for this. Am I expecting it to maybe be crazy in terms of the news? Not necessarily, but I think a lot of the publishers are in a spot where they probably do need to announce stuff, where Dark Horse certainly have to have an announcement. Webtoons, it's a little bit, why are you here if you don't have anything? And Avatar Legends is probably like, hey, yeah, stop talking about the Uncle Iroh book. It's a lot of people have had it for a while now, and there's nothing else to say. What's next? There's the Kickstarter for the Roku stuff coming out as well. Maybe we'll get details on that. And then, yeah, you do have your kind of one of your main Avatar Studios people in relation to publishing here. That's sort of notable as well. So expectations, I think, go a little bit up just because it opens the door to some news stuff and it being much more official. It's not a guarantee, though. It's still a little early, but you've got to give us some hints eventually. Like if on the video game side of things you can tease your AAA Avatar game like 4 years before it's going to come out, the publishing side of things can announce some stuff early, is my thoughts. But there's the video. So in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are on everything here. Journey of Aang, what are your thoughts on this as we're just a few days away from the launch of the campaign? How do you think it's going to do? Some new Avatar jewelry is announced from this company, Rock Love, and some publishing stuff. How to Draw Avatar book, a delay potentially for Awakening of Roku. Shadow of Kyoshi paperback is the next release next week. And then also next week, publishing panel for Avatar for NYCC. What we expect is going to be the last panel where we'll only get publishing news. Afterwards, of course, the next big panel is going to be SDCC 2025 in July next year. Feels like they have to deliver there. Not just in publishing, but across the board in Avatar. We should be going into SDCC really knowing kind of what we're expecting, like really truly expecting news about Avatar Studios, animated stuff. They have to start to talk about it eventually, is the idea. So this is kind of, it feels like the last one where we expect maybe 1 or 2 publishing announcements, and that's it. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, but that's been the video. Thanks for watching, and bye.